You are listening to episode 320 of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Welcome to the Peaceful Mind Podcast, a place for creating the peace of mind you need to be the best mom you are created by God to be. If you want to bring more balance, more joy, and more peace to your motherhood, this is the place for you. I'm your host, certified life coach and Catholic mom, Danielle. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's get started. Welcome to the podcast, beautiful mamas. I'm Danielle. We are back for the final episode in our 5-part strength series that I've been running all month. Now, we've already talked about mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual strength. And now we're finishing with something that often gets quietly avoided, but it deeply affects our peace. Today, we're going to talk about becoming financially strong. We're going to talk honestly, right? Because for many moms, money is one of those topics that feels heavy, feels confusing, overwhelming, or even shameful. But what I want to show you is that financial strength is 100% possible for you. And it doesn't start with spreadsheets or perfection. As most things that you will hear me talk about, it starts with mindset, habits, and of course, our faith. So let's name that struggle. Let's begin this episode. Why do we struggle with building financial strength? Maybe you are somebody who avoids looking at your accounts because it just feels too stressful. Maybe you're just hoping things will somehow work out, but we don't really feel like we're in control of that. Maybe we rely on our partner to handle the finances, and so we feel disconnected from them. Maybe we're feeling guilty about our spending or shame about debt. Perhaps you tell yourself things like, I'm just not good with money, or I'll deal with this later. Does any of that sound familiar to you personally? One mom that I have been the privilege and honor of being the coach of, we really focused on where she was in her identity and mindset and emotional life about the subject of money. And I'd love to use her as I'm thinking about many of you out there struggling and use her as an example. I remember when she actually told me the words that she felt physically sick every time she logged into her bank account. She avoided it, oftentimes until bills were overdue. And ironically, this was not somebody who, by many standards, people would look at like the amount when you really got into the actually data of how much money and investments and finance and things she had, would not be looking at it as that she had nothing. Okay. But yet she was avoiding it. And she really didn't have any clue about her spending patterns, what they were. There just wasn't much awareness around it at all. But as we worked together, I very quickly honed in on what was ultimately keeping her stuck. And that was her limiting belief that she was, quote, this is just how I am. And that wasn't true at all. Okay, she didn't actually need a math degree to become an expert at budgeting. She didn't need to have anything more than what was already equipped inside of her. And I think that's what's for most of you all out there too. She literally needed a mindset shift. And then perhaps a little bit of system, like habit changing to form what we would call a system something that she could begin to do regularly, small, consistent, so that she could build some confidence, right? And she needed a reason to explore becoming financially stronger that came from a place of peace, not from a place of panic. Many of you are struggling and feel insecure and panicked about finances, and that is not where we want our starting point to be. So that's what this episode about building more financial strength is about. Here is the shift that will change everything. It's about taking ownership. So we want to move from avoiding our finances to owning them. We want to bring clarity, and we want to bring our faith. That same mom that I mentioned to you, my client, we worked together to do two things. One was to rewrite her money story. Many of you could benefit from this too, right? We have made up in our minds a story that has now become our truths. But we need to stop and bring some awareness and question these stories, or see the results that are being, birthed from these stories you're carrying around. And that's where we want to rewrite them. This is where you will have an internal change first to rewrite it. And then we would then see the outside of our financial life change. So in this particular client of mine, she stopped believing that she was bad with money. And she started telling herself that I'm actively learning how to manage my money with more intention. This is what she was like, doing some small shifts, small changes, but first we had to talk about it and we had to reveal some things about her. She had to get some more clarity on things that she didn't realize that she was thinking and feeling and doing about her finances, so that she could then actively feel the truth that I'm actually learning now how to manage my money. And that was true with each session we had. And then 2, we worked together to build her simple, sustainable habits. Simple brings more peace. Many of you aren't looking at this subject and building muscles in it and growing and becoming stronger in your financial strength because we think it's overwhelming. We think there's a lot to do, a lot to change, right? But it can be something as you literally check in, and for her to even look at the numbers once a week. And that's where you start. That's all you do is look at them. You don't have to do anything else. But we're trying to move towards being more connected to them, right? And then there was small, sustainable plans that we put into place. There were some that were around giving, right? What was your actual giving plan? And we literally just had to make some decisions: when she would give, to whom, how much. And then there was plans around budgeting, but how she would decide on the categories and what goes where. There was tithing. There was a plan around tithing specifically, I remember. And there was a great awareness. There was a plan on what to think and feel and do and not do when the feeling of panic arose in her body, in her life. So we talked through that, because knowing there would be something that would come into her life that would probably trigger her to feel panicked again, right? Because her brain was so used to offering her those thoughts to create panic in her body. So then that's what we created, small, simple, sustainable habits around those scenarios. And for the first time, she began to feel more in control. And with time and with that feeling, it compounded. And that, my friend, that's the reps that I talk about in building your muscles. And we're going to be building our financial muscles. She gained an energy. That strength, that's what that energy is. That strength, it started spilling over into other areas of her life too, right? Communication became more clear with her spouse. She no longer feared surprise bills. She became the kind of woman who felt that when financial challenges or issues or something arose, she would be like, I've got this. And that can happen for you too. If you decide that this is a subject that you are, and I'm putting this in air quotes, weak in, and you want to become stronger, it's absolutely possible for you. Let's break it down a little bit. Here's what it might look like when you are financially strong. I want to take you to that place that you aren't now, but we want to begin to envision it so we can lean into the possibility. Okay? You know what comes in, what goes out, and what your next financial goal is. What it would look like to be financially strong includes you giving generously, not out of pressure, but out of a self-purpose. If you're financially strong, you may be budgeting in a way that reflects your values and your lifestyle. You may have margin, like room to breathe in your finances. You'll stop perhaps impulse spending from emotional exhaustion. And if you're financially strong, you'll start making purchases from a really aligned, confident place. Those are just some of the things that happen when you become more financially strong. You'll stop saying things like, I'll deal with this when, and instead you'll say, today I can take one step forward on this, right? That's financial strength. And I want you all to know that you can become financially strong starting now. Starting today. One of those steps could be for you to begin to tell yourself a new money story, like I just mentioned in my client example. That would look like going from I'm bad with money to I'm learning how to create peace with money or peace around money. Your language matters. How you talk about it, whether it's out loud or inside your head, it matters. Your brain listens to you. And I want you to speak life over your finances. I want you to speak positivity over your finances. Step 2 would be to do a gentle financial check-in. Notice the key word there is gentle. We don't have to upheaval everything. We just want to ask ourselves, what am I actually avoiding? Where do I feel confused and unclear? Where do I feel empowered, right? So there may be places where you feel like you are actually good in. So we want to look to those so that we can give ourselves a little boost. But then the questions of what am I avoiding? Where do I feel unclear? That's going to give us a direction. That's going to give us a place to start. With everything, I'm going to underscore to not judge yourself, to just notice. Remember, awareness is always our first win. It's always a win to gain more awareness about anything that's going on in our lives. Step 3, we could take a stab at creating a faith-aligned budget. That doesn't mean restriction. It means purpose. There is a podcast episode that I didn't do that long ago that is about feeling more peace around budgeting. And I also teach this in my book, The Divine Abundance. I teach you how to budget in a way that begins with gratitude and that it prioritizes giving and it reflects your values. It's not a budget totally about spreadsheets. It's about more clarity. And there is a way for you to feel good through budgeting, whereas many of us have been avoiding it. Step 4, I'm going to go to my kind of 10% philosophy. could we commit to just 10 minutes a week? That's all. 10 minutes that maybe you'll review your accounts. Maybe you'll take that 10 minutes to pray about your finances. Maybe you'll take that 10 minutes to get clarity and set one small goal. Maybe you'll take the 10 minutes to track your progress, and you'll do so without the shame. So many options to get started that we could then repeat as a rep to build financial strength. It is built in those moments, those small choices, the ones we repeat. That's where the financial strength is built. Like I just mentioned, I have a book. It's called Divine Abundance. And in this book, I will walk you through the spiritual and practical tools for growing your financial peace. And some of my favorite chapters of where you might be right now includes the chapter on the 5 habits that are keeping you from prosperity. And then I have a chapter on the 5 habits you want to start doing on a regular basis that are going to build your prosperity. I also talk about giving and receiving. I know for a lot of you, the idea of giving money, it's like you understand that, but some of you aren't good at receiving it. And so I do love that chapter to help people get better. I don't think that it's taught enough. And of course, like I just mentioned, I want people to have better feelings about budgeting because it is such an integral part of being financially strong. And also saving, if it's hard for you to save. So there's the chapter on budgeting and saving with faith in there. And don't worry, like this book, I'm not having you cutting out the lattes or feeling bad about how much money you're spending. This is a book about partnering with God to make your money life more peaceful, purposeful, and strong. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to pause. And I just want to speak to your heart here. Because a lot of times we are not as tuned in to this subject of money and finances and wealth. It is so emotional, right? I want to speak to your heart. If you've struggled with money, if you feel like you've never been good at it, or like you're behind, or you're scared to even look at your finances, please know this isn't your fault. Maybe you grew up in a household where money was always tight. Maybe you were never taught how to manage it. Maybe you borrowed beliefs from other people like money is hard, people like us don't get ahead, rich people are greedy, faithful women should just be content and never ever want more, something along those lines. Like whatever messages you absorbed, either consciously or unconsciously, those can absolutely shape your current relationship with money. That's all. That's the only reason if you weren't financially strong, that's the only thing that's going on, right? There's nothing like innately wrong with you. Because here's the truth. You can always choose a new belief. You can decide today, it doesn't even matter what's ever happened up until today. You can decide, I want to be financial strong. I want to have more peace with money. I want to be a faithful steward of the resources that God has entrusted to me, starting now. This is a focus. This is something I have conviction about. This is something I'm going to be committed to. That's all that matters. Is that what you want? If you're answering yes, right, then know that no matter where you've been, how many times you've tried, how far behind you feel, this gets to be your turning point if you want it to be. And if you're asking, okay, yes, I do, but then how do I actually do that? On this episode, what I can recommend, it comes straight from my book, Divine Abundance. It's like, this is how I answered that question when people say, how do I do it? How do I become more financially strong? So inside an entire chapter that's called Your 30-Day Prosperity Plan, and it's the exact structure I created that would guide any reader step by step to build financial strength. I think, in my humble opinion, a beautiful combination of mindset work, faith-based affirmations, practical budgeting and saving steps, like reflective journaling prompts, and I definitely integrate scripture in there. It's not a hustle plan. This is a heart plan, one that helps you reset your thoughts, behaviors, and your relationship with money and finances, and in just 30 days. And it works. This is what I use. This is what I help coach my clients through. And it's how I've seen so many people move from fear and avoidance into peace, power, generosity, and really to build financial strength. So, mama, if this episode or this series has stirred something in you, then take this as your invitation to become financially strong or any of the other areas we talked about this past month. And again, a resource that I know that would help is my book, Divine Abundance. Right? You can start your 30-day plan and let it walk you into more financial peace. Or I also have a course, a self-study course. You just buy outright, has videos, it has PDF attachments that help walk you through all of the areas and through my faith-focused finance system. And there will be a special discount for you podcast listeners that you will find in the show notes. And with that, and in the show notes, I will include where to get the digital copy or the paperback copy of my book, Divine Abundance. So this closes out our five-part strength series, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for walking this strength journey with me. We've talked about becoming strong in so many ways. And now I want to encourage you to pick one of those areas to focus on right now. Maybe it's your mental strength, maybe it's your emotional regulation, maybe it's your physical health, spiritual depth, or your financial peace. Choose one, because when you kind of constrain and commit to growing stronger in that one area, something amazing happens. The others will begin to grow too. They're all connected. And as you rise in one, the other areas are lifted too. You don't have to do it all. Do not choose overwhelm. You just have to pick and start. And I'll be here. I'm here if you need me any step of the way. Here's to your strength, mamas. Here's to your peace of mind. And until next time, may peace be with you always. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Peaceful Mind podcast. If you found value in today's episode, I'd be so grateful if you could subscribe and leave a review. It not only supports the podcast, but ensures you don't miss out on future episodes packed with insights and tools to create peace of mind in your busy mom life. And if you're of the Catholic faith like me or any Christian mom seeking to feel better in any area of your life and to show up more calm, connected, and confident, I can help. Become an empowered mom who knows how to bring about the changes you desire, no matter the circumstances. Whether you need one-on-one guidance to get there, prefer a group coaching program with like-minded women, or a self-study course, I've got you covered. Explore my private one-on-one packages, join my Busy to Balance group life coaching program, or delve into my signature course, Divine Time. To find out which path is right for you, let's meet and see what's the best fit. Schedule a free call with me at danielleteenel.com or send me a direct message on Facebook or Instagram at Danielle Teenel Coaching. And also, don't forget to get your copy of my book, The Cyclone Mom Method, How to Call on Your God-Given Power to Remain Calm, in Control, and Confident as a Busy Mom. Dive into the digital and bonus audio version when you go to book.danielleteenel.com/new-book. You'll find all the details in the show notes too. Until next time, peace be with you always.